I call your upfront cost. Here's a question I get from a lot of buyers. How much money do you need, or do you need any money at all? Let's talk about it. Let's talk about upfront costs compared to the zero money down. Zero money down is actually referring to whether or not you have to have or do not need a down payment. The down payment is usually a percentage of the loan amount, usually 3.5%, 5%, or sometimes as much as 10 to 20%. So it depends on which type of loan you're obtaining to determine how much of a down payment, if you have to have a down payment at all. Now, what I need you to know, because you don't have to have a down payment does not mean that you won't put any money into the purchase of the property before the day you move into it or before your first note. Here's what I call your upfront cost. First, when you find the house that you want to have a home inspection. You may decide, this is not the house for me. Now, the home inspector is going to go through the property to make sure the condition of the property is conducive to you actually moving into the property and not having any issues, or to reveal any issues that may be prevalent at the property so that you can make the decision, do you buy or not buy? This is your opportunity to say you're totally in and you're moving forward with the process, or you're saying that you're no longer considering moving forward with that home, and now that agreement could be null and void. So that's the home inspection. Now, how much money could this be? It depends on your area. A home inspection may cost you $250 to $500 to $1,500. It depends on what items in the property have to be inspected. Some areas you have multiple stories, or you may be purchasing a home that has a lot of square footage. So the more square footage, the more the cost is to actually inspect. Or the further away from the inspector's home base for their business or the city that they're working in, if it's in a remote area, they may charge you mileage even to cover their travel. So second, now you may have to have a termite inspection. If your area is infamous for termites, the house have had a history of termites, or you're someone who's experienced and had an issue with termites in another property before, everything is up to you 100%. Or it could be required by the lender that the termite inspector must go out and check the property to be sure there are no termites. And if it's had a history of termites, they may and should have to provide a contract showing that the property is now under contract so that the house is constantly secure, no issues with termites, or has been treated and continues to be treated to be sure that you don't have any further issues. A termite inspection could be from $100 to $150 depending on the area. Some other areas could be as much as $300 for a termite inspection. So you want to have at least a few different options for a servicer to go out, but call and find out about pricing. What does it cost for them to inspect and provide you the report or a certificate stating that there is or there is not any issue at that property? They'll provide that full report. Now, third, you'll want to have an appraisal if you're obtaining a loan. If you're paying cash, that's an option for you. But if you're obtaining a loan, the lender is going to require that an appraisal is completed on the property to be certain that it's worth what you're actually offering. At the end of the day, the bank is interested in being certain that if they had to take that property back and put it back on the market, that they can actually get exactly what they have invested with that loan to make sure that they can get it sold and off the market. The bank is not interested in inventory, so they want to have an appraisal done, and they want to lend to buyers who are truly able to pay the note and see it through, whether you have a 10-year, a 15-year, 30-year, 33-year, or more loan, and you can see it through to pay that off sooner, hopefully, than later. So we've got home inspection, termite inspection, appraisal. You've made a deposit. That was one of the most important. And now you may have a septic system servicing that needs to happen for that property. So every 2 years, they want to be certain that that actual system has been serviced, it has been checked, and all the parts are working. When you're going through the purchasing process, you want to be certain that all inspectors are scheduled within the time frame that's allowed from your purchase agreement. So if you've said you can inspect within 20 days, not only do you have to have the inspector, the termite inspector, you also have to have possibly the health department and the the septic servicer to go out and check that property to be sure all of those different systems or the entire house has totally been inspected and there are no issues that would keep you from purchasing the home because you didn't see anything that absolutely turned you off, or nothing has come up that would cause the lender to not finance that property. The most important thing you need to have is a deposit. Make sure you have disposable cash to put forth towards the property to show the seller that you're able financially to actually purchase and put money on the line to secure the property so that the seller then shows the property as pending, or at least pending continue to show. Most sellers do not want to mark their home as taken, meaning under contract, pending, except the buyer has put money to secure that property. They will not accept an offer in many cases if the buyer does not make a deposit. A deposit is different from a down payment. A down payment is related to your loan, whereas a deposit is related to your agreement with the seller, showing that, number one, you have the ability to put forth money. You know the saying, put your money where your mouth is? Sellers want to know you do have disposable cash to put towards the purchase of the property. So that's the deposit compared to the down payment. The down payment is usually a percentage of the purchase agreement price, whereas the deposit could be a flat figure or a flat amount that you've decided or the seller said you had to put down on the property to secure it. And depending on where you are, the deposit could be a percentage of the purchase agreement or the purchase price. Think of it just like going in to lease an apartment. When you lease an apartment, you have to make a deposit. And if you leave everything the way that you found it or better, when you actually move out of that apartment, you get your deposit back, right? So in this event, that deposit will work similar to that of an apartment lease deposit. So depending on where you're from, your deposit may also be a percentage of the purchase amount. So those are the costs that are involved with the purchasing process. All of these items together are your upfront costs, which are completely unrelated to the zero money down. Zero money down has to do with the loan, but everything else is your investment in this property to be certain, number one, that the condition is good from the termite and the home inspection, even the septic inspection, as well as an appraisal, which tells you about the value of the property. All of these are investments, and there's a great possibility that if you decide not to buy the property, you won't get your money back on any of those. So we call that a true investment, and sometimes the house just doesn't work at the end of the day. And then the majority of the time, when you've made the investment because you feel like you picked the right house. So here's the difference, and I hope that this has been informational for you. Leave a comment below if you have a question or something that I've said that you want me to expound on. Feel free to tell me in the comments. And remember, for more tips and information about the home buying process, number one, subscribe. Two, come back and check out the next video. See you on the next one. Been doing this a long time, and I've seen a lot of people make some interesting mistakes, but I've seen a lot of people do exactly what I tell them, and they didn't come through with a bunch of surprises. We don't like surprises. We want to know what's supposed to happen so we can be happy when we move into our house. So keep watching. Bye. See you on the next one. See you on the next one.